Welcome back to AM Northwest. If you're looking for love online, there are 3 dangerous moments to really be aware of. And our next guest is here with tips to help keep you safe. We welcome back relationship and dating expert Kelly Marie. Great to see you.
Hey, great to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, so when you date online, there are, there's the fun, there's a possibility of romance and all of that. But then there are things that you need to be really alert for.
You really do. And the hard part is that 90% of the time, it's not an issue. It's not a big deal, maybe even more. But you want to make sure that, like, from the moment that you're creating your profile, you've got your safety in mind, and you're not programmed to be polite and nice and make the experience good for the other person, even though that's a factor. The most important thing is to keep yourself safe.
Right. And the first one you say is, don't give out too much information.
Yeah, it's funny. So it's like this kind of tightrope walk of course you want to get to know someone.
Yeah, you're trying to get to know people. You're going to talk. Yeah. And
they're going to ask questions, which are probably most of the time are going to come from a very innocent, just well-meaning place. But when somebody asks you, like, oh, so if you're in that area, you have kids, your kids go to this high school.
Right.
You're going to be like, hey, I don't give that information out since we don't know each other, but hopefully we'll get to know each other better, and then we can talk about that more.
Well, it sounds like you shouldn't really talk about where you work, like an example.
Absolutely, you should not talk about where you work. It's not really a game, but I'll play a game where I'll go online and see if I can figure out who people are from just what they've done on their profiles, and I'm like 20 to 30% of the time I can find someone just by their profile. So you want to be really, really closed about these information things, like, this is my favorite coffee shop. I work in the science industry, and then you have pictures like from where you work. I mean, sometimes there's logos that you don't realize are in there. So you just got to really be curating what you're putting out there.
So when you say, how then do you handle it, is like you don't really give out a lot of information. Like, you don't say, I go to this coffee shop every morning before work.
You can say things like, oh, I love a good cup of coffee. I definitely like, getting something before work, but don't say the specific one. Don't say the area that you're living in. I usually say or tell my clients to say the next town over, just to make it or the general area. Like, there's a lot of names for, like, Gresham is huge, or the southeast side of the river.
Right.
Just be vague, and if somebody presses you for more, like, say, well, hey, we're 2 strangers that met on the internet.
Yeah.
Let's wait and interact a few times before we give each other more personal information.
How do you handle meeting up?
Oh gosh, this is the big one. So really getting an idea for where you're meeting, and I really recommend, especially for women under 40, please check it out on Google Maps and see where to park. Just be very strategic about where you're going. Make sure that you are never going to a personal residence, even if you've been invited to a party. Because there have been instances that I've been made aware of through my friends and through people that I coach, where people are invited to a party, like, oh, my friend's hosting this party. They show up, flowers in hand, and get pulled inside and attacked.
Oh, wow.
So you really need to be very, very conscious of the fact that you really don't know this person.
Right.
You are assuming the best and assuming that they're telling you the truth, but they might not be.
Also, a party would be a terrible place to just get to know somebody.
Right. Well, they'll say, oh, it's a cookout, and with my friend, I never have a friend, so I never have a guest, and everyone's couples, so it'd be really nice to have you there to talk to.
Okay.
That's how it would be
always
presented.
In a public place.
Always in a public place, never on walks in the woods, never on walks with, like, big gaps in like visibility. I highly recommend just a cup of coffee, no alcohol on the first interaction.
Yeah.
I don't even call it the first date. It's like the first time. Is this person, do they look like who they said they look like? Not just for catfishing, but, like, were they using a different photo that was similar to them just so that they couldn't be recognized, because they wanted to do something?
Yeah. Here's my suggestion for going on a walk with somebody you're about to meet. Bring your German Shepherd, just in case. Just in case,
there you
right?
Go. There you go.
Okay, walking to the car at the end of the date is a big deal.
It really is.
And I had never thought of this before.
Yeah, and this is one, it's so hard because there is a lovely class of man who will want to escort a woman to make sure that she's safe, and that's been trained in him, and comes from a really beautiful place. And then in this day and age, I don't know if you remember, like in Las Vegas, like about 7 to 10 years ago, there were these young women that were going missing, and the video footage would show them staggering out after not having drunk, and they were being injected on a walk by and then escorted to a car. So again, very slim chance that this will happen, and it's mostly women under 30 that this would happen to. But you don't, with a stranger that you just met, you don't want to be somewhere that it would be very easy to instantly incapacitate you and slide you into a car. So a way to handle it is, hey, you know, I make sure you're parked right out front, you know, if you can do some reconnaissance. And if not, like, hey, you know, we really don't know each other. Do you mind just staying here on the corner while I walk to my car? Just putting those boundaries in place. And then if they push at those boundaries, just go back inside, get in your people, call an Uber. I mean, I've told clients before, if you ever feel unsafe, call an Uber, even if you have them come back and drop you off 10 minutes later back at the same place, just so that they don't know what your car looks like or have the opportunity to get you alone.
That's really smart. So let's go over the high danger moments, I should say. So one is the first time you're meeting someone.
First time you're meeting someone. So it's the first time you're meeting someone, whether it's meeting them because you're putting your profile out or meeting them because you're talking on the phone. It's that. And you want to make sure that you're never, even like some people will be like, oh, I'm at an Airbnb, so you can come meet me. But you don't want to give someone your location, because even though it's not your house and they can't stalk you forever, they can still come back that night. So you want to be very protective. If someone had bad intentions and they had this information, can they do some harm to me?
Also, lastly, just a second tip is do not meet privately. And lastly, no getting in the car, no giving information out.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much, Kelly.
Thanks.